Do you have anxiety while you were in school? Of course. It was really bad when I was a little kid. When I was like 6 years old, I don't even know how I knew what an umbilical cord was, but I came up with this. I called it the umbilical cord theory, where I told my mom that if I was away from her for too long, it was like the umbilical cord was stretching, and that tension would make me feel sick. So I would get these like crazy stomach aches from stress and anxiety. I would later learn, but I called it the umbilical cord theory. I was like, oh, my umbilical cord, it's the umbilical cord, Mom. And then she would, come pick me up, or she would understand that meant like, oh, you're having a little thing happen to you. So, yeah, that's real. That's real shit. I get anxiety. I do. I have anxiety disorder. Or you get into like crippling panic attacks, I've gotten way better at it though. When I was diagnosed when I was 13, they told me I have crippling anxiety, and I just said that's fucking bullshit. But I used it to get drugs. He said, you have ADHD, and I said, okay. Does that mean I get pills? And he said, yeah. So I went with it, but I don't do pills. I don't like pills. What if I have social anxiety and it's really hard for me to be in front of a crowd? Well, Charlize, I too have anxiety, and it only gets better if you keep putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations. Face it head on. Just give it a shot. You have to be in front of a couple crowds and like shake vigorously and be so nervous. I've done that countless times. First year and a half of touring with this band was gut-wrenching. It was like hard to do sometimes. I was freaked out, man. So I just started doing weird moves on stage that made me feel comfortable, like I was in my bedroom. And, that's, I move on stage like how I would if I were on my own dancing to a song that I fell in love with. So, there's that. I struggle a lot with anxiety. Do you have any tips to help? I mean, I struggle as well. I still get anxious all the time. Sometimes it'll affect like business decisions I have to make, and has almost screwed my relationships and business because I will back out of stuff out of fear, out of anxiety, and just there's no clarity when you get anxiety attacks, right? It's just a flood of scary thoughts that you can't control, that you have no bearing on. So I get you. But I would say focus on those thoughts, what's really freaking you out, and then assess it from there. But just remember to breathe. Gotta breathe through it. Get some breathe right strips. Just not like that, but how do you deal with anxiety? In different ways. I think it depends. When I'm getting attacks, I usually have to go somewhere alone. So last time it happened, I was in a grocery store. I had like half a cart full of stuff, and I just left it there because I started to realize that I was not comfortable. I had to get out of there, so I went back to my car, sat in the car, breathed for a little bit, realized I didn't want to go back in, went back home. You know what's great? It's really conducive to people with anxiety and xenophobes and agoraphobes and all these people and recluses and hermits. There's all kinds of delivery options, so you can just do that too. But yeah, in different ways. I try to realize why I'm so anxious. Think about what's really freaking me out. Why am I, letting these thoughts flood my brain?
You have ADHD, right? Yes. I was diagnosed. My parents just visited last week. And my mom, we were just talking about old memories. And she was like, you remember when we went to the child psychologist? And I was like, absolutely. I remember that. And we kind of walked through it again. It was so funny. Like the whole scenario of that. I had no idea. I was just trying to get drugs because my friend had given me Adderall. And I did really well that day in school. And I felt great. I felt different, really, is what it meant. And just any way to feel different from how I felt naturally all the time was a great thing. So, yeah, that happened. So I took that. I just wanted to get drugs. Then I come to find out I have nervous disorder and ADHD. But, drugs. Once I started taking them again in the band got bigger. And, one day we were in Australia and I looked at all my pills and I just didn't want to be that guy anymore. So I'm sure you guys can see video, like interviews and stuff. See, here's a clip. Here's a little thing for you guys. Me, Ryan, and John are in an interview, putting food to me for it, and he like takes it back. Yeah, I was heavily medicated on anti-anxiety, anti-depression, anti-ADHD. It was just I was so numb, I didn't feel like a real person. I was in the sunken place.
Hi, Kelly.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm from Agora, and I'm doing this long-form journalism project about mental illnesses. And if I'm correct, you have previously mentioned being diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
I was wondering if that has ever affected your music career, either negatively or positively.
Oh, wow. Yeah, good question. When I was 13, so basically from the time I was in school until I was about 13, teachers didn't know what was wrong with me. About every week, my teachers would call in my mom, who is the sweetest person in the world and always backed me. They would call her in and be like, how much sugar do you give your child? And they'd be like, we can't contain him. He is rambunctious. His behavior is insubordinate. He is just terrible. He's making everybody laugh while I'm trying to teach them, and he's the worst. He's just your child. You need to get something on him or get him on something to calm him down. So my mom takes me to a child psychologist, and I'm just like, what's that? That's cool. Oh, great. Hey, how are you? And I'm just like bouncing around the room, and then like in little moments where I get really sad, and then I'm just like, just kidding. Oh, I'm really happy. So it was like really, really crazy. And the guy ended up, leaving the room for like 20 minutes, comes back, and he's like, well, you have a very strong case of ADHD. And I'm just like, cool, what's that? And they put me on medication. I took that for about a year, and it freaked me out. I didn't like who I'd become. Because it's like, for me, this is what it was like. It's not the same for everybody, but for me, it was like, I'm inside this body, and I'm watching myself behave a certain way, and there's nothing I can do about it. And it was terrifying. It scared the shit out of me. I was so scared. And I was maybe 15 at the time that or 14 or 15 when I told my mom, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I did it originally like, oh yeah, no, I get pills? Cool. Like I want to try these. So I tried them out and it weirded me out, and then I stopped taking them. And I took them again for like 6 months when the band started getting really a lot bigger, started touring. And I remember just being in a hotel room one night and taking all the pills. I had like 60 count of each, and I was just like, I am done. I can't do it. I would rather be myself and cope with this. I don't want to just numb this. And it took a while though for me to understand that. But it definitely affects everything I do. I mean, it's not like it is a detriment to anything I do by any means. Everybody has moments where they bounce around and multitask, and I mean, we're all basically ADD children because we sit on our phones and watch Netflix and talk on the phone and talk to our friend and write on this thing and listen to music and doing 8 things at once. So I just started to realize like, oh, I have control. I can do what I want. And luckily, I've been able to talk to people and get through certain things where it now has a positive effect, where I use all that energy to expel into like creating stuff, which is great. Thank you, by the way, for that. Hey, if you're really depressed, just know this. It's a fleeting thing. And you allow yourself to get as sunk into that sunken place as much as you want. The more you realize that and assert yourself and realize what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, then you gain control again. So let it ruminate, sulk in that a little bit, and think about why you are feeling so sad. And if there's no reason to it, just be sad for a little bit. Steer into that skid. Go for it. You're gonna feel really sad. It doesn't mean you act upon it and do things that are detrimental to your body or your psychological state or well-being. But it's fleeting. The next moment you're gonna be so good. Don't even worry about it. Put on your favorite music. What I used to do when I was depressed as a kid is I would put on the saddest music I could think of, exactly what I was feeling at the time, and I would just let it ruminate. I would marinate in my sadness, for lack of a better term. Just marinate my own sadness. And just sit there and think about how angry I was, how sad I was, how much I didn't give a fuck about anything. And then I was like, okay, I had my fill, and then I'd go outside. It's not the same for everybody. I'm just telling you my personal experience. Please, I'm not even sad anymore. I have no feeling anymore. Yeah? I mean, numbness is a symptom of depression sometimes, right? Where you just feel nothing. That's a very scary thing. You know what? Listen to some of your favorite music. Watch your favorite movie. Color your favorite book. Do your favorite thing. Like, don't even worry about it. If going outside is your favorite thing and your parents say you can't, say fuck it. I'd rather get in trouble and do my favorite thing right now than sit here and be depressed and feel nothing. At a certain point, you gotta worry about why you feel the way you do and how it makes you feel if you continue doing that. You gotta love yourself, you guys. I struggle with it too. I'm not trying to preach like I am the fucking know-all. I know nothing, and I realize that I know less and less the older I get. What would I do instead of cutting? Literally anything else. sing your favorite song, watch your favorite movie, hang out with some friends, read your favorite book, draw something, become an artist. I don't know, write a book. Expend your energy in something useful. Anybody can cut. It's lazy. Do something unique. Hi.
Okay, there's a lot of pressure. Hi.
Oh, hi. There's no pressure. You're good.
My name is Vivian Garcia. I was at the Tower Theater show. I don't know if Zach remembers me.
Oh,
I was
great.
with the girl who gave you cigars.
Oh, nice. Oh, he knows. He knows the cigar friend. Yeah.
And I don't know if you got my letter, but just like
It didn't have hair in it, did it? I'm sorry. Go on.
I just like wanted to reiterate that I'm just very thankful for like your music because it's like one of the fail-safe things that like calms me down. I'm sorry.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. I know I'm like wasting time here.
No,
but,
you're fine.
No, we're all fans.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I just really appreciate you for like everything you've done and worked through. And I know, getting to my question, I know one of the things that you like vocalized on Periscope before is like your problems with anxiety. And oh my God, are you gonna cry?
No, I'm fine. You know. Shut up. You're crying. Shut up.
This is gonna sound like I'm joking. This is a totally true story. I cried when I met James Hetfield from Metallica.
Yeah.
I cried.
Hey, it happens. We're
I was
humans.
a grown
We cry.
man too.
We leak from our eyes. We're all good.
And so like I just wanna sort of like ask like as somebody with anxiety, like how do you personally cope with it and how do you come out on the other side? Like I said in my letter, like absolutely fucking victorious. Like how do you come out on the other side of that and go through the daily motions of dealing with it?
Thank you for that. I've had anxiety for a long time. I mean, the same guy who diagnosed me with ADHD was like, "You also have anxiety disorder nervosa." And I was like, "Oh, cool. It sounds made up. Fuck you." But there were times. There's still times where I get that panicking feeling, no pun intended. But yeah, I did that to myself. I walked right into it.
Right
Still
at the end of the night
It's
too.
just but that still happens. What I've started doing, honestly, and this is going to sound like very Rick Rubin-esque, but I started meditating. And what I do is first thing when I wake up, either I work out and then meditate, or I meditate and then work out. So I spend 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, in my studio, turn all the lights off, and I just put on like some white noise, and I sit there and I focus on what I'm thinking of first thing in the morning. And then I run through it. It can be anger, it can be sadness, it could be regret, it could be anything, negative, positive, whatever. And I sit there and I really fall into this hole where I'm focusing on it so much until I get to a point where I go, oh, it doesn't matter. And once I've hit that point, I'm good. Take a breath, start my day. But that really honestly helps me. And that's just how I personally like to start my day. And then anytime it happens when I'm in public, a couple deep breaths, count to 10. I'm usually okay. And then there's other times, sometimes it just can't be helped. And you just run with it. No shame. That's just who you are. You know what I mean? It's a part of you. Never feel ashamed for having that be an affliction. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. You're awesome. Thank you.